So, Turki Alalshikh and Dana White have officially now announced what I was telling you lot about a whole month ago, more than a month ago. I was telling you about this in January, right? The end of January is when I was telling you guys about this. You can look back in the videos that I've done. Look back a month ago, end of January, you'll see a video that I've done about this same situation. Now they've officially announced it and they've come with more details. They are teaming up with a company called TKO Group. So Turki Alalshikh and his conglomerates, he's always talking about the Prince, are linking up with TKO Group, who basically own the WWE and the UFC. We know that Dana White heads the UFC. And apparently TKO Group have got over $24 billion as a net worth. And we already know that Turki Alalshikh and his conglomerates, they've already come with unfathomable amounts of money that they're just throwing at boxers for events and functions that would never be put on by any of the promoters that we know and love, because they just wouldn't risk the money that would have to be spent to put on these buku major cards that have been being put on by the Sheikh and that. So with that being the case, money and money mix, don't they? And where Turki and his guys have got the unfathomable amounts and TKO are coming with their own unfathomable amounts, they're teaming up to try and make a league in the boxing situation. Now, there's a lot of verbiage coming out from Turki about crushing all the other promoters and things like this, which I just think is just pantomime. I think he's just joking around and saying things to get people talking and to get people making all these different assumptions. He already told Mike Coppinger that he lied to him about certain informations in the past so that Mike Coppinger could think that he has the word from the horse's mouth and start spreading the lies and the propaganda so that the Sheikh can then do what he wants to do without being bothered. And with that being said, that shows me that he likes to play about with seriousness. Because really and truly, is sports that serious? It's entertainment. It's a distraction. It's to distract the masses from whatever hardship they're going through and whatever, stress that they're going through. They've had a hard day at work and it's time to go home to catch the basketball game, catch the football game, catch the boxing, whatever you're going home to watch to wind down and relax. This is what sports is. It's entertainment, right? So is it really that serious? Not really. It only gets serious because of the amounts of money that is being touted and the amount of money that these sports people say that they should get. So where boxing's concerned, these guys are coming in to make a league. And there's all sorts of different people making all sorts of different hypotheses of what's going to happen. And here's mine. This is what I think. First and foremost, I think it's a brilliant idea. I think long may it continue. And I hope it is successful. Dana White said it's going to be the same model as the UFC. So what I take from that is it's going to have the top 10 and the top 15, whatever. And 15 will fight 14, 13 will fight 12, and so on, to get to the number one status. They've got the Ring Magazine belt because Turki Alalshikh acquired that. So now they are putting the Ring Magazine belt as the only belt, basically. This is the belt that all boxers should want. So where Dana White's got his UFC title, he's now got the Ring Magazine title, which basically is the most coveted title by all boxers. It's akin to linear status. So you get the Ring Magazine. From my knowledge of the Ring Magazine situation, you can acquire the Ring Magazine by constantly fighting top 5 fighters and winning. So that's why if you become undisputed, you get the Ring Magazine title as well. Especially if you fought all of the champions. Especially if every belt had a champion, so there's 4 champions, and one guy beats all of the champions. He gets the Ring Magazine at the end of the situation. Yeah? So now they're putting this Ring Magazine as the belt. What I think they should do, what I think they might do, what I think they should do, the WBC, the WBO, the IBF, the WBA, they should all keep their belts. That's fine. But their top 15, top 20, top 100 now will be structured. 4 different leagues, basically. IBF League, WBA League, WBC League, WBO League. All under the same banner, basically. And they all have a top 20, right? They all have a top 20. They all have a top 15. They all have a top 100. So sometimes you have a fighter that is in the top 10 of all of the governing bodies. If that's the case, whoever that fighter is not fighting in the WBA, they fight in the IBF, and so on and so forth. And what happens then is the champions will remain whoever they are. And if they're not fighting unifications, the top fighter in each governing body is the number 1 contender for that belt. Once they win that belt, or once they fight for the belt and win it, then they can go on the undisputed charge. Now, with the undisputed charge, it can be a thing of you fight and get the title. You have the option now to either fight a mandatory or to fight another champion. No more voluntary defenses. That's where the cherry picking can happen. If the other champion isn't occupied, you can fight the other champion. But if the other champion is occupied, then you fight the number 1 contender in your ranking. If you win your fight and the other champion wins his fight, then you two have to have the unification straight after. And the same for the other two. And once you get a guy with all the belts, or you get one guy with 2 belts and another guy with 2 belts, then they have a final fight. But while that's happening, number 1 and number 2 in the IBF they're fighting, number 1 and number 2 in the WBO they're fighting, and so on and so forth. It can be structured like this. And that's how you can have fights constantly. On a particular card, let's say one of these cards, you can have the number 1 and number 2 of the IBF, the number 1 and the number 2 of the WBO, number 1 and the number 2 of the WBA, all fighting on the same card. And then at the top of the bill, you've got a unification between the WBO and the IBF champion. And this can be throughout the weight classes, every weight class. And with that being the case, boxing will be regularly on the TV and it will have a structure. So then there will be contracts. You can't be a pay-per-view fighter unless you're fighting undisputed or you're fighting a unification. Because at that point you should be popular enough to have a unification fight that is a pay-per-view. And then the powers that be can monitor the popularity of each fighter, who gets the most views and whatnot. And then you also incorporate their socials, who's got the most followers on whatever platform they use, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. You add all of that up, you see the popularity of the fighter, and then they will get pay-per-view bonuses, just like in the UFC. The thing that will be different, in my opinion, which is why they've got all these money men in the situation, is the pay structure. You're not going to be giving out $50,000 bonuses to the fight of the night. Bonuses are going to have to be a lot bigger. Initial contracted purses can now vary between newcomer, prospect, contender, and champion. All of these different parts of your career will have a different wage bracket. And then also champions that have lost and they're on their way on the decline, they have also a different wage structure. This is just my opinion of how things should go. I have no idea of the structure. They have not said anything of the structure. The only thing that they have said or have hinted at, I should say, is that the first card is going to be in September, and they're making claims and they're making suggestions, should I say, that it's going to be Canelo versus Crawford as the first opening card for this league. Will Canelo and Crawford be signing up to the league? I very much doubt it. They have no need. These two are the type of fighters that are at the end of their career and they're having this type of fight to secure legacies and such like that. They are not trying to be signing contracts to be with any particular outfit. This just happens to be a fight that's happening in September that can help to launch this situation due to the fact of the amount of money that these guys have. And I'm talking TKO and the Sheikh, not Canelo and Crawford. So Crawford and Canelo's wages will be a total separate thing. Anybody else that's on the undercard is probably going to be part of this league, and that's when we're going to start to see what the structure actually is. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very much excited by it. I think it's a very, very good look for boxing. Boxing looks like it's finally going to get some sort of structure, but what we're going to have is a lot of pushback from people that don't like change. And that's definitely going to happen. Some people love change, some people hate change, and there are people in the middle. But you're going to have the people that hate change coming out all over the socials, talking about how this is bad for boxing. I don't think so. And as I said, it all depends on the pay structure, because this is what it ultimately is. It's prize fighting. Everybody out there is fighting for a prize. So we're going to see how this works out going forward. I'm very excited. I'm very interested, and I'll be definitely monitoring this situation. But as for now, I'll see you guys in the next video.